Hey guys, hope you are all having a great day. Today I want to share with you information about an investment opportunity with huge upside potential. I have devoted days' worth of research into this particular company, reading into their financials, future products, growth, and geopolitical risks. The company we are going to talk about is called the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, with the ticker being TSM. The company currently makes up close to 30% of Taiwan's stock market index and is poised to grow for a long time. However, the company faces huge risks that have put off huge investors like Warren Buffett, and the risks don't really have anything to do with their own products or services, but rather the geopolitical risk of an invasion by China that could have the company lose its factories. However, significant actions are being taken to offset this very risk, and the company continues to be significantly undervalued, meaning it's a great opportunity for potential buyers to load up. With that said, let's begin. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company is a Taiwan-based company mainly engaged in the provision of integrated circuit manufacturing services. The integrated circuit manufacturing services include process technology, special process technology, design ecosystem support, mask technology, 3D fabric advanced packaging, and silicon stacking technology services. The integrated circuit manufacturing services include process technology, special process technology, design ecosystem support, mask technology, 3D fabric advanced packaging, and silicon stacking technology services. It is the world's second most valuable semiconductor company, with the largest shareholders being the central government of Taiwan itself, along with holdings from foreign investors. Let me simplify things a bit. Why TSM is the world's most important company, and that is no hyperbole, as I am about to prove to you, and why everyone is kind of rushing to try to control it. In the case you don't know it by now, microchips run everything. They are in your phones, in your cars, your microwave. They are everywhere. The best microchips are made by TSM, and because they are so freaking good at making chips, tensions continue to grow with China and the West. This is such a big deal that you cannot talk about TSM too long without also talking a potential Third World War. The fears are so big that legendary investor Warren Buffett's conglomerate actually sold their entire investment on TSM after alarms went off last year on Taiwan. Buffett expressed on various instances serious concerns over the future of Taiwan because, well, he doesn't like their location. This makes sense. Buffett is not someone that likes to have any type of real risk on any of his investments, but the man still describes TSB as one of the best managed companies and most important companies in the world. It's not that he thinks the company is bad, as much as he doesn't like the uncertainty of a potential Chinese invasion. TSM is considered the national treasure of Taiwan after all. But there are very, very good news when it comes to TSM and how it plans on reducing their geopolitical risk. TSM has begun construction on 2 semiconductor plants in Arizona, which raised their original investment from $12 billion to $40 billion. Production at its first factory is dated to commence in 2025 due to a shortage of specialist workers. This is a huge deal because the company has been having a couple delays and facing some challenges as it expands due to demands that it's having trouble meeting. That is, there is so much demand for TSM that they cannot meet it with its current manufacturing plants. As such, rapid expansion has had its own challenges, which will be overcome in due time. As it expands factories in the U.S., it will significantly mitigate the risks it faces from a geopolitical standpoint, which will mean risk-averse investors such as Warren Buffett might begin looking into the company again. And that isn't to say TSM has performed badly. It's worth $500 billion at the moment. No small feat. But given their importance to the global economy, I cannot even begin to describe just how undervalued they are given the role they play in everything around the world, and especially to the U.S. So now that I gave you guys an overall brief on TSM, what they are, and a general sense of their role in the world, let's start talking a little more in depth about the company fundamentals. As I said earlier, 2023 was tough for TSM, but they are forecasting very strong growth for 2024, which, if met, will significantly add value to their market value and, obviously, its investors. TSM has spent the last 3 years since the pandemic began on massive growth, with a pause in 2023. This company is fast emerging, dominating the production of the higher performance chips that are most critical for advanced technologies. This business they are in, the chip-making one, is very expensive on the pockets and requires top-level talent. As I said earlier, they manufacture over 50% of all the world's contracted semiconductors, but they happen to manufacture 90% of the most advanced technological chips. So, as you might imagine, as the world becomes more technologically dependent, they will continue to have a growing role in our daily lives, even if we don't realize it. From a competitive advantage as well, it is most vital for the United States to have and exercise control over this company, given that if its adversaries get their hands on it, we could lose a lot of our technological advantage, but more on this a bit later on the video. To point out its significance, I bet a lot of you have already heard about NVIDIA and how it's become more valuable than Google and Meta. Well, the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, has a quote, and it says that there is basically air and then the Taiwan Semiconductor. That goes to show you just how vital NVIDIA perceives TSM to be to their own business. This company is crucial in the global supply chain, enabling the design and predicting of cutting-edge semiconductor products without needing to own or operate costly fabrication facilities. To put it simply, the entire world needs TSM chips, plain and simple. Let me give it to you from a different angle. Experts have pretty much concluded that if TSM halts, the entire world halts with them. AMD, NVIDIA, and Intel all design chips, but only Intel has manufacturing capabilities, though they aren't high-end, so Intel still relies on TSM to manufacture their most advanced ones. Apple itself is not designing their own chips but relies on TSM to make them. Now we need to talk about why it's undervalued so much, and that comes from the huge geological run their views on the country. They strongly aspire to take over it, and in particular the TSM manufacturing facilities as well, and the fears of this are kind of boiling up. However, it is TSM itself that provides Taiwan with what some people consider to be the Silicon Shield. Because they are so vital, they kind of force the United States to protect them no matter what. Because the United States understands the competitive advantage that TSM gives them. Still, on the fourth quarter of 2023, they still beat consensus. Don't think TSM is a company that underdelivers at all. They are staying ahead of competition by shifting to lower processing tech. Their 3-nanometer chip sales reach 15% of total sales, and when combined with the sales for the 7-nanometer chips or below, they reached 67% during the fourth quarter. The semiconductor industry is one with a lot of potential. Revenue in the market is now being projected to reach $613 billion in 2024, with an annual growth rate of 6.30%, leading to an impressive market volume of $736.4 billion by 2027. The strong drive by companies like NVIDIA, Meta, and Microsoft to push AI to its limits means they will require the most advanced chips. And given that TSM is the sole provider for processor chips for NVIDIA and AMD, it's not hard to see that their success rests on TSM in great part. The valuations for this company keep on growing rapidly as well, especially as its future is further secured by its expansion of factories in the US. However, geopolitics isn't the only risk TSM faces, and that's something we need to consider. According to Markets and Equity Learner, there are 2 risks that come as urgent when you think of TSM, which come from Samsung and Intel. So let's talk about it. For Intel, according to Markets and Equity Learner, the risks comes from the fact that Intel is trying to innovate to outperform TSM from an advancement standpoint. It launched an advancing 5 nodes in 4 years goal in 2021 and has just begun 3nm process production. They also announced their 1.8nm processes being on trial, where production will commence in late 2024. For Samsung, it is pursuing early orders of 2nm processes from TSM's best clients by offering large discounts. TSM and SSNLF are leading the way in less than 7nm node production. However, these three companies are racing to churn out 2nm processes by 2024 and 2025. Intel even announced trial production of 1.8nm processes, a technology that TSM has yet to uncover. While reports indicate that TSM's updated 3nm processes can still outperform its current 2nm and 1.8nm counterparts, the 3nm technology will eventually hit a ceiling that these newer technologies can surpass. Another risk to contend with is that AI may not always push growth in the semiconductor industry. AI has definitely boosted the industry in 2023, considering the slump in 2023 of global economic woes and weak recovery post-COVID-19. However, several top companies have stated that expectations of AI-driving growth may be overestimated. For instance, TSM's most recent earnings call stated that, "While we have recently observed an increase in AI-related demand, it is not enough to offset the overall cyclicality of our business." And of course, the China-Taiwan relations and potential for war escalation is by far the largest concern. The good news is that, as I said earlier, once they fully transition to factories in Arizona, the inherent risk for the company itself will mostly be eroded. I have come across articles by military experts that suggests the U.S. government would actually benefit from blowing up TSM factories themselves if an invasion actually begins happening, to ensure sole dominance so that China cannot take over the technology, given that it will now also rest on U.S. soil. China probably knows this as well, which have led to people, including myself, to believe the fears as overblown. Because what would be the point of launching an invasion when the one thing you are trying to secure is certainly going to be destroyed, so you never have it? You stand to lose so much more than you can gain, and Taiwan's value mostly comes from its semiconductor prowess. Back to the fundamentals of the company. Revenue for the fourth quarter earnings for fiscal year 2023 increased by 13.6%. over their previous quarter to $19.62 billion. The gross margins fell 1.3% to 53% total, due to costs associated with the ramp-up of their 3nm tech. Their smartphone platform, which contributed 38% of annual revenue, increased revenue by 27%. Management guided for a 6.2% sequential decline in revenue for the first quarter of fiscal year 2024. In conclusion, TSM is one of the most important companies in the world. When I look at investments, I look for safe companies with growing margins and great products or services. TSM has winning products, and its outlook, though facing challenges, still looks great overall in the long run. It's one of those companies that hasn't fully taken off due to its risks with China, but as they expand into the U.S., those risks will be mitigated if not outright eroded over time. TSM is undervalued by a long shot, especially considering how the rest of its competitors depend on them. There are some challenges to come from Samsung and Intel, but TSM will be fine long term. If anything, take that as another potential investment to make. TSM is significantly undervalued, in my opinion, and I look forward to adding shares to my portfolio over year. Let me know what you guys think. I will link my Discord down below if you are interested in getting day trading alerts or participating in an ever-growing community of long-term investors. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you all tomorrow.